on the New York Police Department. Why? Well, because they're trying to prevent Muslim radicals from launching another attack on American soil. Now, as you may know, the NYPD has a program of monitoring certain people in the Muslim community, people they think might be a threat to the United States. Now, many liberals and some Muslims don't like the idea and have been outspoken in their criticism. And today, Eric Holder joined the crowd saying this on Capitol Hill.
At least what I've read publicly, and again, just what I've read in the newspapers, is disturbing, and these are things that are under review at the Justice Department.
Disturbing. Mr. Holder is disturbed. Now, mind you, it's not the Islamists he's disturbed about. It's the New York Police Department. And by the way, we'd like to remind the Attorney General that there are plenty of patriotic Muslims who actually support what Police Commissioner Ray Kelly and New York's finest are doing.
We are not here to criticize the NYPD, but rather to thank them for doing a lot of the work that we as Muslims should be doing.
We are on the side of the United States of America, its government, its police forces, and those who undermine the NYPD. Trust me, they are the enemies of freedom, liberty.
So as I see it, Eric, it looks like this is the Obama administration against the New York Police Department. And if I'm a terrorist out there, I have got to be loving this, the infighting, rather than both of those organizations focused on nabbing them.
Isn't it unbelievable that that's what Eric Holder is concerned about? He's concerned about more surveillance of what could be radical Muslims, or what could be plots against American safety. And the most disturbing part of it, did you hear what he said, Eric Holder? He said, "What I read in the newspapers." Are you kidding me? The head of the DOJ is relying on what he reads in the newspapers? How about what you know? How about what the FBI is telling you? How about what Commissioner Kelly may or may not be telling you? At this point, I'm not even sure if I were Commissioner Kelly, I'd be having anyone tell the DOJ.
You know, that was, I thought that turnout, the 43 people who turned out, those Muslims, was a great turnout for that. But more importantly, you know what else is disturbed by this?
Absolutely.
It's one Governor Christie of New Jersey, and he's right, because the New York City Police Department crossed into his jurisdiction to spy on people.
No, Governor Christie's wrong on this. Dana,
Wait a second, I didn't finish.
I'm sorry.
Cardi.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Dana, I want to get you in on this because what a difference between President Bush with the megaphone, standing on the rubble. We're coming after you. We're all going to work together. I'm going to try and have all the organizations talking to each other, not fighting. The difference between the Bush administration and this administration, who has the wrong entity.
Well, and so take that, but then also add on just a little bit of a sense when you're the manager of the Department of Justice and when you are in a position to know, to go to Capitol Hill today, to not be prepared to answer a question, even if it was to say, it's under investigation, I don't have any further comment, but I will make sure to keep you informed. Instead, the Attorney General of the United States proved once again he is not a man that's worried about detail, and he said, what I've read in press reports concerns me. Now, the Chris Christie wrinkle is an interesting one, because he might have been in a position to know, but I think that the better thing for an Attorney General to do, because he's not sitting here as a pundit, is to say, I'm on top of it, there's an investigation, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Brian, do you think this hurts Christie?
Does it hurt Christie? No. I don't think at the point he's even vulnerable on this. I'm surprised that he's going public and saying, hey, I wish they told me what they were doing, because he also knows, as well as anybody, that a lot of the plot of 9/11 and future plots are going to be hatched in New Jersey, in certain sections of New Jersey. Could they have communicated better, perhaps? But there's probably a reason for it, and that's why FBI Director Robert Mueller has praised Ray Kelly and says he's done a remarkable job of protecting New York. I would stop by Robert Mueller's office and say, hey, by the way, how does Commissioner Kelly do it? He's stopped at least 40 terror plots since 9/11.
And nearly 100 Muslim Americans have been charged with violent plots against the United States over the past 3 years. So I don't think that Ray Kelly, living in New York for a number of years, knowing how he operates, he's not going to waste his time, Bob, just monitoring any average Muslim.
First of all, those 100 were not arrested in New York, and the 40 plots were not against New York. That's nationwide, number one.
Well, we did have two buildings crash down.
No, you did. I know. We've been through this. It's been, and I'll tell you, it's a day we'll never forget. But it's 12 years ago, and I won't say it beyond that. I know that gets you very sensitive. But the point It's not the question about whether Ray Kelly's doing a good job in New York. He's probably doing a magnificent job, but keep it in New York. He's got no reason to be in New Jersey.
You know he's got a New Jersey father.
No. Why does he have a outside his authority?
Because they go from New Jersey here.
So why doesn't he have New Jersey people do it?
Because that's a great point. There's only one NYPD, and you know that. They send their agents overseas to anytime there's an action, they have decided to take things upon themselves.
Do you think the governor of New Jersey might want to know that you got New York cops in his jurisdiction?
I'll take that. That's a solid
point. You know what I'm happy about? I'm happy a year and a half ago that the New York Police Department, NYPD, broke up the terror cell, Dana, that they found him in Denver, Colorado. The Zazi brothers who came from Brooklyn, they found him, they tracked him down in Denver.
Would be so
broke up before they blew up the New York City subway.
That's exactly they worked with the Denver police, because the Denver police did the arrest on that.
Okay, but that's why.
So why
not the surveillance
New York Police Department going over to another jurisdiction and not telling them?
How do you know that they did? That's the problem.
Well, I would assume the governor would.
There is a special investigations unit in the NYPD. That's where the investigation belongs. It needs to be kicked up from there. Then it would be kicked up from there. The fact that we're all speculating on something that none of us have any clue about, except for that we know that we're sitting here safe because a lot of what good work these men and women do, that Eric Holder would besmirch their reputations without even knowing it, just by saying that I've read these things.
So Dana, we're sitting here alone. How about Governor Christie? He's sitting here too.
You don't know what Governor Christie knows, and neither do I.
He said he didn't do anything about it. Is that enough?
No, but you don't know why. If they were on the Joint Terrorism Task Force, they didn't have to say anything.
Oh, I see.
So there could be a technicality. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Dana. Should he have said anything? No. Why couldn't he have kept this quiet? Why does Holder need to feel the need to speak out against law enforcement in New York City?
Do you think he could be a little bit bitter about the way the Gitmo trying Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in New York and the backlash because of that? Do you think the mayor and commissioner are coming out saying this is ridiculous?
It's not about
How do you think Kelly would react?
This is not about Eric Holder's personal feelings. I'm sorry if his feelings were hurt because he made a bad judgment call trying to do terrorist
You're trying to channel Eric Holder through me to him because I don't even know. I'm going to get yelled at by somebody else.
You suggested that Holder made a choice between terrorists and the NYPD. It's just not one of those ridiculous right-wing comments that just drive me crazy. But Andrea did. He said he made a choice. And I'm saying here, what would Kelly think if the New Jersey Police Department was in here operating without him knowing about it? You think he'd be happy about that? I don't think so.
Right, but we don't know that. We don't know that that's what happened.
But can I just point out that there have been 3,000 people were killed downtown in New York. There have been numerous plots against targets. 16 plots against various targets, and I was in a building that was targeted after 9/11. Thank you. I don't care who's watching. How's that? Yeah, come on, bring it over. FBI of New Jersey. That'd be no problem.
If I'm a terrorist, and I mentioned this earlier, if I'm a terrorist, I've got to be loving this. I've got to love the chaos and the commotion. Less time focused on who did what, whose jurisdiction. Let's look back through this report. Let's put on our gloves, figure out. Rather than going after these guys that are trying to
maybe I'm just really lost my mind here, but you guys, which is probably true, but you guys are sitting here supporting the idea that a police department can go into another jurisdiction and not tell them
and do law enforcement? If it's going to save a life,
I mean,
if it were your family,
if it were Kelly coming in, they were coming here doing. I go back to that point. I don't think you'd like it.
Let me ask you this: what if the New York Police Department person? Listen, here I am speculating. What if they knew that if they said something, maybe if they know somebody in New Jersey was going to leak it? So maybe they decided not to say anything. Like that's the problem with us speculating on something until it's fully investigated.
Don't speculate. Let me ask you a question. Do you think they have a right to go into another jurisdiction and operate an undercover operation?
I know that there is a provision in the law that allows them to do it.
And can I expand on that? We cannot pretend like New York's any other city. For whatever reason, it is the prime target, and every phone tap that we ever take, every person we ever interrogate, they talk about getting New York City. It's the gold standard for terrorists. And to go out, to stay in Manhattan and look around is not going to be effective. And here's the other thing to keep in mind in this entire situation. Most of the times when these plots are unfoiled, it's Muslims giving us information about Muslim extremists that allow us to go forward.
9/11 happened because the CIA and FBI didn't talk to each other. That's why it happened. Now, why don't they talk to people who in their other jurisdictions?
Hold on. Here's why people are sensitive, and we talked about this earlier this week. The administration paying $750,000 on a soccer field in Gitmo. Also,
$750,000.
And Tony West is promoted to acting attorney general of DOJ, the #3 spot. He defended, remember, John Walker Lind.
How many years ago was that? How many years ago was that?
Does it matter?
10 years ago. Yeah, it does.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Joe McCarthy used to say that.
But there's
Didn't you, when you were in high school, have a read the Mao's report?
But Dane, I think the point here is there seems to be a theme where people are saying, what is this? What is this Justice Department doing?
I think so, though. I will say a couple of people that I know over there, they actually think that Tony West is a very good manager, that he's on top of things, and that he's doing a great job. And that is not necessarily the feeling of the head office of the Attorney General, from the Attorney General.
And it costs $880,000 per prisoner to keep them down in Gitmo. So $700,000 for a soccer field, I don't think it's a bad.
I don't think they should be playing soccer. But Bob, here's something else. You answered it. I think kickball. I think kickball or Ring Olivia.
Yeah, that's good.
But Bob, let me ask you something. I believe that Senator Schumer is going to defend Ray Kelly. I believe Mayor Bloomberg is going to defend Ray Kelly. I think this crossed party lines. And I think they're going to be very upset that they're targeting him.
Of course they're going to support it.
Your blood is boiling.
I can't believe what you said. I just have to make a point. You know, having been there, having watched it, having lost a lot of close friends in 9/11, there's please tell me you don't mean when you said that the CIA and the FBI didn't get together and they could have prevented 9/11.
Absolutely do I say that.
Please don't do that.
I absolutely will tell you that. Read the 9/11 report.
That is, the 9/11, you and the truthers need to step away from the 9/11 report. We watched it happen. The reason why it did happen, if you want to point a finger, someone had Osama bin Laden and let him go. You want to know who that was? Was it George Bush?
Yeah,
no, it wasn't George Bush. Yeah. It was Bill Clinton. Let him go.
The CIA had a list of these terrorists, and they did not cross-reference it with the FBI, and the FBI...
Because they were not allowed. It was illegal for them to do so. That's why we had the Patriot Act that broke down the wall.
Well, the point is that it could have been, had there been some communication...
Oh, that they had broken the law would have been okay.
No, I wouldn't have been breaking the law. That would not have been breaking the law.
We've got to go. We're going to continue it after the break and come back less tense. Coming up, why is President Obama so silent when it comes to Bill Maher's sexist comments? The White House was asked about it today, and we'll show you the tape. Also, don't forget to email us at the5@foxnews.com.